You crest the hill, the dungeon now miles behind you, and looking ahead, you can see the outline of your home. The wind blows in your face and it carries with it the smell of the cooking fires, the faint sound of children's laughter. Your heart swells as you finally know deep down that you did it. You managed to save your home. Hi there, I'm Dr. Megan Connell, and this is Psychology at the Table. In this episode, we're going to be continuing our talk about emotionally driven games by diving into how do you create emotional narrative in your games. So we're stepping behind the screen in this one and talking a little bit about game prep from the Dungeon Master side on how to bring these emotional themes into your games. Now look, when we're talking about emotional themes here, I'm not talking about being heavy-handed and just really killing off every NPC that the characters care about or destroying their homes or anything that they get attached to, just burning it with fire, right? This is about letting your players have that full experience of emotions, from anger, rage, fear, into love, excitement, joy, friendship, connections. We want them to have that immersive experience, and part of that immersive experience is both good and bad emotional experiences. In my live-streamed game, Clinical Role, I'm very deliberate on it being a story about emotional growth and the emotional well-being of the characters. Yes, they are on a quest that has worldwide ramifications, but more what's driving the story is the personal stories of each of the player characters. They are growing and developing through each session. Part of how I do this is I have an emotional goal for each character. So this is something that I want their character to walk away from each session. So these can be very simple things from what I thought to be true isn't true, to more complicated and deep meaning things of the world isn't how I planned, or maybe one example would be my friends need me. That last one there was actually one of the lessons that I had, or one of the goals I had for one of my characters. Two of the characters at the time, this was in episode 17, were not doing very well. Things that they had thought to be true about their past and about their world turned out to not be true. And neither character was doing a very good job of processing that and handling it. The third character, Baradin, he was okay. He was fine. And so there came to be a moment in the game where the other two characters, Gragnald and Emerald, were not doing well. They were kind of having a little bit of a breakdown. And Baradin was off on his own, chatting up with an NPC and doing well. He was in the same room with them. They were in a tavern, but he wasn't near where they were. And so I had him notice what was going on. I think I might have had him make a perception check. And then as he saw what was going on, I asked each player to describe what their character was doing. And then when they did that, I turned back to Baradin and said, okay, so how does Baradin think of all? What does he think of what he's seeing? How is he processing this? And the player thought about it and gave his response. And I gave the other challenge of what does he do with that information? This is walking, again, that fine line between steering our players down the path we're trying to get them on and taking away their agency. I didn't want to take away the player's agency. He could have very well said, geez, it seems like they're having a bad time and I don't want any part of that, so I'm just going to back off. And that would have been fine. The point of growth is that we get continual opportunities to do it. It's not just a one time and we fail and we never get that opportunity again. It's hard to do, but when we can do this well, it really enriches the narrative. I think it's also worth discussing here how story planning and planning your overall campaign can also really impact how you plan the emotional growth of your players. So, for example, when we're thinking about level progression, as outlined in the Dungeon Master's Guide, we're talking about what the characters care about, basically their heroism level. So like levels 1 through 4, they're seen as local heroes. They're known to a few different towns and villages, maybe a city. Levels 5 through 10, they're now heroes of the realm. They're known within the kingdom or empire that they're in, and they are seen as helpful, useful heroes. Levels 11 through 16, now they are masters of the realms. They are maybe the appointed champions of this realm. They are the defenders. And then 17 through 20, they are now masters of the world. Emotionally, when we're thinking of it, here's how I process those levels. 1 through 4, the characters are caring about themselves and the party. They're really learning to come together as a group. Levels 5 through 10, they're starting to care about a particular part of the world, one particular town or one particular kingdom. Levels 11 through 16, they're starting to care about the bigger political structure of that area. They might be even getting involved in the politics somehow. And then levels 17 through 20, they're really understanding that the world and understanding world events and how things in one country impact another and can impact their homeland. In many ways, this can be similar to growing up. When we're younger, we care more about ourselves, our immediate family, and friends. The older we get, the more we start to care about the wider world around us. And so we can look at leveling up as growing up in many ways. So, how do you get your characters to care about the world? Well, the solution I've come to is I try to give my characters a home. Now, this isn't necessarily the origin of their backstory. It's a place in the world that they care about. This is more than just giving them a stronghold and saying, this is yours, care about it. It's giving them a place, people, a situation that they really care about and they want to protect. This home of theirs is going to become the bigger symbol for the world. Okay, this isn't a new idea. This should sound very familiar to you. This is exactly what J.R.R. Tolkien did with the Shire. Merry, Pippin, Frodo, and Sam, they went on their adventure to protect the Shire. This was the why of what they were fighting for. When Sam and Frodo were going into Mordor, they were talking about the Shire. It was memories of the Shire that gave them the strength and the courage to move forward and to finish their quest. When our characters have that home, when they have that place to belong, it gives them that why for risking their lives. They care about different NPCs. They care about a specific location. And because they care, they're going to work to defend those things. When we can give our players these emotional beats in the story, it really, I think, helps drive home that immersion into the story. I know I'm doing a good job with this when I can hear from my players between sessions, when I know they're thinking about their characters when we're not at the table. I know then that they're getting more emotionally invested into the story. That as a Dungeon Master gives me more energy to put more into the story, and them as players more motivation to dive deeper into their characters and to do more. And it becomes a fulfilling loop, and it really creates a fun game. I'm going to put links below to a couple of episodes of Clinical Role and tag the times where we hit some really good emotional points. A few of those are going to be points that I, as the Dungeon Master, was trying to steer and weave into the story, and a few of them are going to be where the players really took over and decided to deep dive into some of the emotional content and to process through things that they were feeling. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you have questions, please leave them below, and as always, let's make space at the table for everyone.